Hey, everybody. Christian and I welcome you back to another episode of Mondays with Mindy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Today's episode features a conversation with Lizzie Tisch. Lizzie hails from Long Island, New York, and earned her BA from the College of Literature, Science, and the Arts at University of Michigan. She started her career in the insurance and banking industries before focusing her efforts in the fashion arena. She's a member of Vanity Fair's International Best Dressed List Hall of Fame and a contributing editor to Town and Country, was a co-founder of the beloved membership-based shopping destination Suite 1521. Her latest endeavor, Lizzie Tisch Discoveries, which is a fashion and art event consultancy. LTD brings exciting collaborations and unique products to design lovers, like myself. LTD infuses shopping with an excitement and sense of discovery by offering limited edition products and exclusive experience. Some of my personal faves that I have actually participated in, Ashley Longshore, Bunny Eyes, Flower Shop, Lisa Eisner Jewelry, and Lingua Franca. Ongoing LTD events showcase the best in art, beauty, design, fashion, and travel. She is passionate about a number of causes, works with and supports many nonprofit organizations, including serving as a member of the board of City Meals on Wheels and as a member of the board of trustees for New York Presbyterian Hospital and the Town School. Wow. She's also actively involved with the Hudson Yards Multidisciplinary Arts Center, The Shed, as am I. Lizzie lives in New York City with her husband, John, and her daughter, Mason.
Amazing. I'm excited to get to know her. I know our audience must be as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the show, Lizzie Tisch.
Woo, Lizzie!
Hi, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. I love this.
Of course. Oh my God, you look so glamorous. It's like the infusion of like New York glamour, fashion, and adorableness that I needed in my life today.
Thank you. I mean, I just feel like after 6 months of forgetting how to get dressed, I walked into my closet and I was like, "Oh, I remember you."
I know. They were like, "Mother, please put us on.
Take me, choose me, pick me."
That's like a painfully identifiable.
Yeah, right? To everyone, yes. Yeah. Okay, so we start each episode where I'm going to pick like 5 random questions, and we'll just like give it a go.
Okay,
Miss Lizzie. What's your favorite place to travel to, and why?
Paris. It was our anniversary last week, and we had.
That's right. Happy anniversary!
Thank you very much. And we had booked it back in April with fingers crossed that, of course, we'd be able to go.
Right.
Yes.
No.
Okay, so I want to know.
I was at Union Square Cafe on whatever 16th Street, which was lovely.
Hey.
Better than nothing. Yeah. Better than nothing.
I'm curious. My count is low. It's 3. How many trips have you had to cancel since March? I'm very curious.
Let me see. 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought so. Yeah.
That hurts.
I know.
That hurts.
We're traveling herd.
Yeah. We're travelers, and I'm a planner. And so this has actually been a nightmare for me. I mean, we are the kind of people that, plan 6 months in advance. We know where we're eating. I mean, other people might find us a little annoying, but once that was,
I do not. Okay.
Controlling. Perfect.
No, it's 100%. And my husband's just as bad, if not worse. And so this has been the biggest struggle for us, is the lack of being able to plan. We don't know. What do we do? I mean, Lauren actually wrote to me and said, "Are you going here for Christmas vacation?" I said, "I don't know."
I know. Who knows? Exactly. Who knows? I said the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. Let you know.
And
last minute.
Add on top of the fact that our passport is worth, less than our toilet paper. So there's a little bit of that.
We hope the change will be soon. That's all I were going to say on that. Speaking of which,
yes.
When was the last time you cried? Sorry, I didn't mean to be so crass.
Well,
but seriously, are you a crier?
I'm really not a crier. I used to be a crier. As a kid, I was a crier. My older brother used to say I wouldn't cry over spilled milk. I'd cry over the possibility of milk spilling. So I was a very sensitive, delicate child, and
Yes.
flipped the switch as I got older. And so I'm not a huge crier, but I will say during this quarantine period, there were moments of hysterics and breakdowns, and we all had them at different times, so that was helpful.
Yes. Always helpful.
It wasn't a triple meltdown, because that wouldn't have been good.
Yes.
But for the most part, I haven't cried recently, other than at like silly commercials and stuff like that.
Right.
Yes. Well, that's always delicious. I mean,
Yes,
I'm ready
that's
for those
always
kind of cries always.
And my 17-year-old looks at me and goes, "Are you crying?"
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Now, if Mason is she back in school, correct?
She's back in school on a modified schedule. 2 days
Okay.
on, 2 days off.
Oh,
But at
Okay.
least she's going in person, and she's so happy to be in person.
Oh, she
I can
and her friends must be. I can only
I
imagine.
mean, they all are. It's too much in front of a screen.
Yeah, agreed. What do you do when you're stuck, either creatively or for an idea, or what do you do to break up to like clear your mind?
Yeah.
I know this is also a really weird time to ask this question.
No,
but
I mean, it's funny. It's like normally, it's an interesting question, because I don't usually get stuck. My problem is too many ideas running around my brain that like I need to kind of control the madness a little bit.
So how do you do that? How do you put the list? I always love this visual. For me, it's like put the list
It's
instead
like
of horizontally, vertically.
Yes, it's like the pro-con list, and you like figure out what is, it's for me, it's the thing that's going to drive me crazy if I don't do it. So I take it from oh my God, okay, I've got these 3 ideas. Let's say this one is like the bugaboo in my brain, and if I don't do it, I'm going to totally regret it, and it's going to drive me crazy. And I happen to have had that over the summer. I had this great concept for an idea, and then some family stuff and some COVID stuff, things kind of came together, and I had to cancel it, but it's still sitting there, and I'm still trying to figure out how to make it work.
Is it for LTD or is it?
Yes. It's it's a combination. It was for LTD, for No Kid Hungry, so it had a fundraising component to it, and it had my favorite now exercise class, Isaac Boots, which became a thing for me during quarantine, because I hate to exercise, but I was going to go down a very bad rabbit hole if I didn't do something. So Isaac's class became like, I make fun of my husband who goes to Soul Cycle 7 days a week.
Oh my gosh. But
Okay.
he also, he's got to understand that he has to be made fun of, because he's an addict.
It's totally
He's an
fine.
addict.
And he is totally fine being made fun of. He understands his position, but now the tables have turned, and he thinks I'm in a cult, and
oh my gosh.
I am now getting made fun of. And you know what? I can take it.
There you go.
I'm fine with it. I admit it. I'm embracing my cultiness, and it's okay.
Yeah. Listen, of all the addictions you could have, it's okay.
You're in a van.
So just to go back to answer how I get unstuck right now, it's more of just trying to figure out what really can be done in this moment of time, and then kind of taking it. I usually go on like a very fast pace and get things done quickly. And so now it's like, all right, we're going to test the waters and try to figure out what can actually happen under the circumstances.
Yeah. Slowing down is not always a bad thing.
No,
for
and
people who
sometimes it
move quickly.
makes
I do too.
And think of things and kind of, all right, you know what, maybe this is a good moment to pivot and regroup. But I'm just not used to stopping, so it's been an adjustment.
I know. I bet. Lizzie, who is your favorite relative and why?
Uh-oh.
In a moment. We won't hold you to it. You won't get in trouble. Yeah. Let's take like you getting in trouble or getting like,
Okay.
Yeah.
My children and my husband aside.
Yeah. Sure.
Why not? Like, just don't get yourself in trouble.
It's really hard. I'm one of 5, and I like my sibling. Probably my mother. I'd have to say my mother. It's safe. Yeah. It feels right. Can't go wrong with the mother card.
No, never.
Odds are a lot.
Okay. Yes.
It was. I mean, it's a loser answer, but it's the right one.
It isn't. It's so not a loser answer. Well, not in my book.
I agree.
What's the last thing you binged on?
Oh God,
what are you currently obsessed with?
Huh? Right now, Criminal Minds. I have like a real like murder police, situational drama problem. Like my go-to background noise, like at any moment, if you walk into where I'm sitting now, there's a TV. And if you go anywhere, if you walk in at any time, it's either like Chicago PD, Law and Order SVU, Blue Bloods. There's some procedural drama on the TV.
That is your.
It's like almost like my relaxing. Like some people have E on all day long and keeping up with the Kardashians or the Real Housewives. Like to me, all of that stuff is my go-to. So I I had seen a couple of episodes of Criminal Minds and thought maybe it was a little too dark, but then I really got into it and then discovered that there's 15 seasons. And I'm only on season 2.
Oh my gosh. You want to talk about a vortex?
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, but at least it'll keep me busy. Like the spa has no TV, so I will bring the laptop and
Do you gravitate more towards like fictional stories of that nature? Or do you kind of like documentaries?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Like during quarantine, I watched so much TV that I put up an Instagram meme at one point that I had finished Netflix. Like, and now what? I watched.
That was one of my favorites. Yes.
I mean, I did a lot of different things. Like we watched Unorthodox, which I love.
Really good.
Yes.
Watched The Great with Elle Fanning, which I thought was hilarious.
One of my favorites.
I love that. Yes, and I'm also now. Yes, if you have not watched, I'm obsessed with Ted Lasso.
Okay.
On Apple, you need to just jump in. It's probably one of the best things I've seen.
Okay, and then did then I went in a different direction, listened to the Elizabeth Holmes podcast that Rebecca Jarvis did and read that book, which was amazing. Yeah. So it's like, I mixed it up a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if we're so big, Christian, that everyone understands our backstory yet. But, Christian and I kind of created this podcast because the one thing during this time that I was missing personally was just connecting to creatives. And
absolutely.
We know this about each other. We're very social and I get my energy and I get inspired by talking to other people and being around other people. So, how do you define your creative process as you see it? And what is inspiring you right now, if there's anything, or inspired you before?
Well, I always say that the creativity that I possess, like, missed a gene. Like, my mother used to make handbags. Mason is a budding photographer and is like, she's reading Dante's Inferno right now, and part of their class is they have to draw out and visualize the cantos, and she's showing me the stuff that she was drawing, and I literally looked at her. I said, I don't understand how you do that. If I tried to put a pen on a piece of paper, it would end up looking like a hangman stick figure.
Stick figures, me too.
It's like, it's so embarrassing. And my mother can do. And so I say that it missed the gene. So the way that I think I'm creative is just the way I visualize things and the way I put together things. And it's sort of how the LTD process came about was this idea of, like, I've always loved being a hunter and a finder of new brands and finding what's exciting, finding what's new, finding what's hard to find, which is not so easy anymore. Now with the internet and every store in every city, it's not as interesting. And so I kind of wanted to figure out how to clear out the clutter. And by doing that and editing things in a certain way, whether it was, books to read or beauty products to buy or clothes or accessories.
I think in order to be a patron of the arts in all forms and is being an artist yourself and a creative yourself. That's how I figure. My dad's a businessman. He's one of the most creative people that I know, whether it has to do with marketing or just aesthetically, his taste level. So, I sort of
I
have a
think they
broader
go.
sense.
I think they go hand in hand. I
Yeah.
mean, John,
Yes,
is in the hotel business, and even though he's chairman and CEO of the company, he's still like his favorite part is the design of the hotel and how do people
really.
use public spaces, and so we actually like we would bounce ideas off of each other, and so he would always come with me to showrooms and would go to shopping, different stores to see like what is that customer experience like,
Yeah.
because I think
Hmm.
that falls into whether it's going out to eat at a restaurant or going to a
100%.
hotel or traveling, it's all combined.
Yeah.
100%. So, what or who inspires you the most? I mean, do you need to be out and about and looking at things? Are you a dreamer? Like, what's your
I
MO?
mean, I definitely think being out and about and seeing just people, I think I think people with the best style are the ones that just exist. It's not anybody you've ever heard of. It's not a famous person with a stylist. It's just somebody
Yes.
on the street corner. I mean, there was a woman who worked with me in my old business, and I would look at, she would come in, she was not spending a lot of money on her clothes, but she would walk in every day and I would just look at her like, Lacey, how did you do this? And I
Yeah.
mean, and it was amazing. And everything she wore just was so her and was so happy. And it was
Mm.
so, if anyone else put this together, you'd be like, do you have mirrors in your house? You okay? You can dress in the dark, whatever. But
Yeah.
it's so I really find that people in various environments inspire me. I will say that Instagram has been a huge kind of visual, amazing place for me to find things. I found some really cool stuff just kind of going deep diving into different accounts and following
Mm.
people that I think are, really creative and interesting. Um,
Yes.
and I think even now, even though it's hard, I think there's plenty of things to be inspired by. I mean, I think just sort of this moment of kind of taking a step back and thinking, okay, maybe I'm not going out as much or maybe I'm not shopping as much, but it's the sort of hopefulness that
Yes.
this will end eventually and we
Yes.
will get back to that place. And I think then at that moment, people are going to be ready to go.
Yes. Well, that's the one thing for me, outside of talking and connecting with people is for me traveling. I get incredibly inspired, grounded. I feel spiritual, spiritual when I travel, and it's the one thing I truly cannot wait to get back to.
I
I miss it.
totally
I think the
agree.
most out of anything.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
the
and I know you
energy you
guys.
feel, the energy you feel
Yes,
when you go someplace new or someplace that you love. It's just, I mean, it's, the air smells different and the
right.
textures and the colors. And I mean, I agree. I said to John, the second that Paris opens, I don't care what he's doing. We're going. Get
I
that
love that.
passport ready.
Yes, that's a good wish. I like that very much. So, have your latest obsessions then, obviously, given your, where you've been, have they been on Instagram, or what are you currently like obsessed with right now? Is there
I
is
mean,
there something or a company or a person or a something?
well, I mean, I would say our mutual friend Jill has gotten me through some of this with
Please.
Danziel,
Well, first of all, I'm so obsessed with Suzanne. I talking about John and his Soul Cycle
I mean,
addiction.
Suzanne is funny. She doesn't speak to me the same way as.
She makes me cackle. But yes, yes, I am. And now the latest one, Melania's childhood friend.
Best.
Oh God, I can't. Yes, yes.
So when I first saw the first character, and growing up in the five towns in the South Shore of Long Island, I mean, my daughter Mason only wants me to talk like that all the time. She thinks the accent is the funniest thing. She's like,
it is.
Please talk like that. Can't you get that accent? And,
apparently, you can.
Yes, it comes right back.
It's there.
Talk to me after one martini, and it goes flowing right back. The O's don't sound as clear anymore. But
yes.
I went to college in the Midwest, and they didn't take kindly to my Long Island accent, so I had to clean it up.
Is that when you kind of like when it kind of disappeared?
Yeah,
when you were in Michigan.
College, yes.
Yes. So
the Midwesterners didn't care for it.
Little did they know.
Yes,
Little
exactly.
did they know. So tell me a little bit about I don't know, or however much you want to talk about it or not, that your trajectory from like finance to what you
Well,
are
so
doing now.
it's funny. After I graduated, when I was in college, I should go back. I had a couple of internships. One was working at a PR firm that specialized in fashion. And that was the first summer job I had. I had worked in stores also in high school.
Right.
But this was my first kind of foray. The office was in the garment center. I probably walked over to the Fairchild building. I was at WWD every day. It was the
Wow.
worst job of my entire life. And I can say that I was an insurance broker for 6 years, so I know what I speak. So I hated the people. I hated the environment. I hated every aspect of it. But I always was interested in fashion and design. And when I graduated and was unemployed, we graduated in May, and by Labor Day, my parents kept saying, it's Labor Day. You
Yes.
you might want to start looking for a job. And at that point, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had worked a couple of summers on the trading floor at Smith Barney and another job working for their brokerage arm. And I just was sort of at a loss. And I was vacillating between something in fashion, working for a magazine. And my mother looked at me and just, do you want to be able to afford the clothes or work for the people that are making them? And I thought, oh, okay. Does that mean you're not buying them for me anymore? So mean. So I just sort of ended up working at Smith Barney in their meeting planning department, which back then, this is 1994. I started in November. And this was sort of like the wild, wild west of Wall Street. I don't even really think we had like T&Es and receipts, and people, investment bankers were getting cocaine and hookers, and, everyone was having a grand old time. And we would organize all of these trips, whether it was for the research analysts or the bankers or reward trips for the salespeople. So I was traveling to all these places, which was super fun. But then after 2 years of it, I thought, I don't want to sit in a boardroom or a ballroom. Yeah. And when, I'm sitting overlooking Pebble Beach, and I'm like, I want to be the one who's getting rewarded. I don't want to be the one planning these. Plus, as you can imagine, some of the people you worked with were charming.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yes.
Very, very charming. And I had a crazy boss. So it was a whole thing. And while I was thinking about what else I wanted to do, they created a department that was called Target Marketing. And it really came out of the need that Smith Barney's clients, they were researching, and they found they were basically middle-aged white men who, and any female client they had were these men's widows.
Right.
And they started to think, oh, well, in 15 years, we're going to have no clients left unless we start targeting a very different demographic than what we're used to. And I ended up working in this department. It was my boss and myself, and we created the first high net worth women's initiative within a bank. And that kind of then led to other demographics. And I did that for several years, and I loved it. I mean, it was the first time that Smith Barney had an ad in Vogue. And we were, working with really interesting women. And we were like, no one's ever talked to us. They always call and ask for my husband. And it was a really interesting experience. And it also shed light on a lot of things, of mistakes that women make. They don't think to put a credit card in their own name. And then when you need credit, if something happens, you can't get it. Or if you're getting divorced, you get attached to the house. Sell the house, you'll buy a new one. Like bad memories anyway. And bad juju.
But really like advocating
and teaching women to advocate for themselves and ask the questions. When you get your statement, don't just let them tell you what's on it. And I think it was a really important lesson, and I loved doing it. But it was sort of, I had already been there for about 7 years. It was 2000. And I was like, I'm too young to be at this job for this long. And I had just gotten married for the first time. And I was like, I want to work at a .com or something cool. And I ended up going to this marketing company, which to their credit, they were like one of the first people to put celebrities with products. And like Jessica Simpson and Redken hair products when she was not particularly famous. So
Yes,
things
no,
like that. And it was an interesting concept, but I mean, it was so funny because I thought it was everything I was going to love. I could come to work in jeans and we started at 9:30 and everyone was young. I hated it so much. I was like, nobody, inmates are running the asylum. People are dressed in sweatpants. I mean,
Yes.
So it was an interesting discovery to realize that I need structure. And, there's part of me that likes being told what to do and where to go and what I'm responsible for, and I think that's a very good lesson to learn when you're looking for a job and you're realizing, you know what, maybe I'm not ready to do my own thing. Maybe I don't want to be responsible for people.
No, there's something to be said for the worker bees. I tend to be a worker bee, even though I'm a creative. I like a boss. I like whether it's a director or a producer, but I work well like that.
I follow the rules really well. It's like I always say that's why I like baking, but I don't like cooking. I'm very good with directions.
That's a great analogy.
All right.
Too. Perfect.
Yeah.
No. So, and I really hated this job. And then I subsequently got fired after 9/11 because nobody was spending money on these kinds of things. Yes. And I just remember being so upset. And my father was like, "You're just mad that they fired you before you could quit." I was like, yeah, fine. You have a point.
Yeah, but still, that's great. Whoever did it got you out.
It got me out. And I think getting fired is also a really good, humbling lesson of,
agreed.
You know what? Okay, better to go and then stay too long. And so that was that. And then I was unemployed for about a year and I was redecorating an apartment and then started down a rabbit hole of watching General Hospital with my former mother-in-law every day at 3:00 in the afternoon. And my mother took me to lunch and she hands me a business card and she says, "Tomorrow you will be going down to the Willis Group down near Wall Street. You will make an appointment. You have an appointment with this woman. She's the head of HR and you're going to get a job." She said, "It's time for you to go back to work." And the truth is, like, I always liked having a job. I was not good with idle hands. I think it gets you into a lot of trouble, at least for me. And so I marched down to Willis, and it was the weirdest job interview I've ever had because most of the time you're selling yourself. Why should we hire you? What makes you so fabulous? Yes. These interviews were, why would you want to work here? No one ever wants to work in insurance. Could you not get a job anyplace else? It was incredibly bizarre, but it worked out well. And what my original position was supposed to be and what it morphed into was the bottom line is that I'm an excellent salesperson. And so even though I didn't know like the real weeds of D&O and casualty and life and whatever, I could talk my way enough to get the client meeting, bring the experts. And a few years later, I was at one of these reward trips that I used to
amazing.
Create. So that was kind of fun for me. And I did that for about 7 years and met all kinds of sales goals and even tried to get John as a client. And he actually spoke at one of our events and said, "She didn't get me as a client, but I married my insurance broker." So
I don't know that story. That's so funny.
So it's very funny. So
very cute.
Worked out well. And then after that, I said, you know what, I think it's time for something like completely different. John and I had just gotten married and my office was all the way downtown and we were uptown. It just became sort of an annoying commute.
But can I just interject something, Lizzie? Because I think your story for me has so much power and things that my parents and I have talked about over the years, which I think a lot of people don't talk about enough, which is the courage to leave something that whether it's safe or it's a paycheck or whatever, the courage you've had, or whether it's done for you or you do it yourself, to go into something new. There's something else. I find that enough more people don't do that, that realize they're unhappy and it's 30 years too late. And I just applaud the fact that you just kept deep diving into what's next. again, a very creative personality trait, my darling. That's
yes.
right.
No,
It's a
look,
little
I
gypsy.
think
It's great.
that says for jobs. I think that says for relationships, like when you
Yes.
stay too long, and the fear. I mean, I remember when I was getting divorced, my mother looked at me and thought I was crazy. And what if you never get married again? What if, I said, I don't care. I said, I just, when something's not right, when something's not
Yes.
working. And yes, did I feel brave in the moment? Also scared, sure. But
Right.
I just felt like, you know what? I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It'll work itself out one way or the other. And
I wish more people do that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And it's almost like when something like that happens, whether it's with a job or a relationship, and then you start to see almost it's like the blinders come off and you start to see it with other people.
Yes.
And you kind of want to like take them by the shoulders.
Yes.
Hey,
I've been here.
You gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. You gotta keep moving. And I mean, that's part of what I'm a little having problems with during this pandemic. It's like you can get stuck, and then you're like finding yourself not, doing anything until 11 o'clock, and you're like, can't even really go out for lunch, and and it's like all of a sudden you feel like you're doing the same thing day
Yes.
after day.
Yes.
And so look, I totally get it with doing this podcast. I think it's great, and it's a great way to get everybody connected. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. I also just think people need outlets, and some people don't even realize they needed one.
Yes. Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Well, that's a little bit how my Instagram has been for me. I mean, I was always a little snarky and sarcastic, but
God, Lizzie, you are seriously, I'm going to say my top 10 that I follow, because you do not cease to, I have a smile on my face with every post. It's fantastic. So for those of you who aren't following, you're missing out. Get on the bandwagon, would you?
That has been, and people have DM'd, they're like, seriously, where do you find this? What do you, thank you. Like, and then, I try to like not make my family too much the butt of it, but sometimes they're just really easy targets.
Well, especially now. So let me ask you this. Are you going to, at some point in the near future, is LTD going to, is there a time frame you have for your next collab or your next anything? Or are you allowed to tell me?
Funny you should ask me that. I was on the phone with that today. I mean, the hope is I'm desperately, the last few years I've done some great things around the holidays.
Yes.
And it's sort of been dubbed the holiday house, if you will. And it's been around travel or just things that I like that are amazing for gifts. And the goal is to be able to do that again. It's a little challenging in terms of,
I'll say.
I had done it at the Regency Hotel in New York, which is closed for the moment. So we're trying to figure out if maybe we're going to do it virtually or online, because I do have a website. So that's what we're in the process of, because I do think, as much for me personally, I love in-store shopping. I appreciate the convenience of Amazon and Net-a-Porter and all of those things, but to me, I love the experience of it, the seeing it, the hunting for it,
the feeling. Yeah, I'm tactile.
What if it's itchy? You can't tell it's itchy when you're looking at it.
Right.
And even when you're buying, like, even if it's gifts and not for yourself, it's like the whole concept of like you discovered it someplace. And doing that online, I don't think is as much fun.
Agreed.
Again, appreciate the convenience that maybe it comes wrapped also, but I just think that there's still this need. I did something over the summer to kind of test the waters with Laline and Mackenzie Leoto, who designs, well, first of all, he's been designing amazing masks, and he does great jewelry. And I did it in our house in the Hamptons in our backyard. And we had 50 people over the course of a day, which under the circumstances was, I'd say a raving success.
Yeah.
Yes. And people were just so excited to get out of their house, to see other people.
Yes.
I think,
and be around goods.
Yeah, but buying stuff honestly was like almost secondary to everything.
That's right.
Else.
Totally.
Yeah.
It just was
Agreed.
like, oh my God, thank you for giving me an activity. Thank you for letting me see people, you know? And
Yes.
I mean, it was very different. Everyone's coming in a mask. We're taking temperatures thing. I mean, I feel like, you know,
Well, that's the
like,
protocol. It's what, listen, it's not going to be forever, but like you do what you have to do. Same thing I'm
you gotta do what
experiencing
you
at work.
gotta do. And you gotta, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. Like, it's, you know, if you walked into a restaurant and it says no shoes, no service, you know, you don't get offended. Right?
You put your shoes
Right.
on.
Exactly.
You put your shoes on, you put your shirt on. Like, you don't walk through the hotel lobby naked. I mean, it's just not
No,
that
it was, you know,
complicated.
when the mask thing early on, people were making it an issue. And I just thought, y'all remember when seatbelts, it wasn't the law, and then it was, and it took a couple months, but eventually we all just click it.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what this is. Just do it.
So true.
Thank you, Lizzie. This is, I love the person. You understand now.
All these
I'm
personal
obsessed.
protections everyone's so adverse to.
See, Christian, you had doubts about me, I can tell, but
Oh, please. What I want to ask, because you've had so many diverse different things, is there one or two, I don't like to call them failures, but have there been things where you kind of went, oh my God, and yet it's turned into the biggest gift, or it's pivoted you in some way? Like, can you recall like something that you can share with us?
Sure.
Where you
I mean,
yeah.
I had 3 businesses ago. We, my old business partner and I, created something sort of out of pure fluke because the market tanked in 2008. And
Yes.
it felt a little bit like now in terms of people weren't shopping. The world was sort of upside down. People had a real sense of uncertainty. It wasn't considered, you know, politically correct to be walking down Madison Avenue with shopping bags. And we created this, one of a designer that she used to work with called her and said, you know, no one's buying my stuff. I have this showroom. Maybe you can get some clients to come up to my showroom and I'll give them a discount, but we got to keep it quiet because we don't want the department stores to know, etc. So we're talking about this. We're like, we got to keep it top secret. So we created this idea called Shop Secret. And the concept was we sent out this very long, I mean, the first email was so ridiculous. I can't believe anybody even read it. It was like 3 pages long with like, don't tell anybody, make an appointment, keep your mouth shut. By the way, did we tell you not to tell anybody? And over the course of a week, we had, you know, a decent amount of women coming up to the showroom. We probably did $200,000 worth of sales for this designer.
Wow.
And slowly but surely that kind of turned into this crazy business where the original idea was that we were going to only work with designers that had showrooms, nothing on Madison Avenue directly. But I think probably because at the time we were maybe 2 of the best consumers in all of New York City, that the store managers, you know, were asking what we were up to, and we told them. And this was kind of like back then, pre-sale wasn't really a thing that happened.
I was just going to say, yes, this is before it became like consignment and all that stuff.
Or you would get an email like, you know, every week telling you it's going to go on sale, it's going to go on sale. It was really before that, and it was really before the internet had taken off. Like, I think Net-a-Porter existed, but very few other things. Yeah. And so if you think about the designing cycle, people who are diehard fashion people buy fall collections starting in August.
Right.
Okay. And then Resort comes out somewhere around December, and sales happen right after Thanksgiving. So if you're assuming your best customers and those who have to have it, they don't care if they're not price sensitive and they must have it, God forbid, because if it goes away, like, and they waited for it to go on sale and then they're so upset. So you figure you get all those shoppers by the end of September, not later. So you have this weird window of sort of the last week of September to the second week in November. Because once it hits November, the second week of November, everyone's waiting for the sale. Yeah. So you have like a 6-week period where nothing is moving. There's no new merchandise in the stores, and it's just sitting there. So we kind of created the pre-sale concept. So we would have our members or whoever we invited come into the store. We'd literally sit in the store and like nod and glance at the salesperson and say, that's one of ours. That's one of ours. And when they got up to check out, their discount would be there. And sometimes they'd wait 6 weeks to charge them. Sometimes they'd do it then.
Right.
But it ended up being like a way for
A success,
the
like a something. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this went on. And then we started working with all these young designers out of Europe who who weren't in stores yet. And all of a sudden, I woke up at like 3 a.m. Oh, well, I should backtrack and say all of a sudden we started getting these emails, and it was like a very low budget operation. It was like, here's your email from @ShopSecret, and you would just RSVP and we'd have a list. And one day all of these emails kept coming in. And my business partner was like, what is going on? We've been hacked. And so she responded to somebody and said, where did you get this email?
Yeah.
And the person wrote, oh, you were in some, like, it was like a daily candy type of thing or something.
Right. But the cover was blown.
And it was actually Marjorie had given this interview and had said, it's like this sale. She's like, it's like a secret sale and you don't know when it's coming and you get this email.
Marjorie, good woman.
And then you get a discount. I mean, so we started freaking out. We changed the email. We shut down the thing. We were like, abort mission. And whatever. We managed to like keep it going and save. But it was like a few weeks later, after that moment, I said, I can't, and it was a great business concept, but I said, I can't deal with a business predicated on a secret. Like at some point, this is going to blow up in our faces. And it's just, I can't do it anymore. And I said, and I don't think people are coming because they're getting a discount. I really think people are coming because they're getting access to things they can't find.
That's right.
And they haven't seen before. And that really led to the creation of my old business, which was Sweet 1521, which we had for several years, which was also great.
Very great.
And I think if we hadn't done that, we never would have gone there. And, and then that too was time to just be done, because I mean, I said after that, the logistics of getting these clothes here, and I had to drive one day to Long Island to get a fish and wildlife license because somebody marked off that something had ostrich feathers. I mean, you can't even imagine. And then dealing with like UPS and FedEx. I said I could be like a customs broker by the time I'm done with all of this.
No, life is too short for that stuff. Come on.
I mean, life is too short. And I was like, you know what? And now then Moda came by, and so all these other things started happening. I was like, it's time to hang it up. And then that's when LTD evolved.
Right. It seems like each thing led to the next.
Led to the next.
Yeah.
Exactly. And LTD became this more of like, you know what? I don't want to be stuck in just the retail part of it. I think there's so many other fun things. And I think that's sort of the thing that is missing in retail is like, you don't want to walk into a store and be stuck with one category anymore. You want it to be, not quite like a department store, which is very big and overwhelming, but the concept of being able to buy, your socks and your bras and your wedding gown in one place is, not so bad. And your shoes. But
I also like the cross-pollination that LTD does, which is, different artists, different venues, different kinds of, fashion with photography or fine art with jewelry. I don't know. I love that. I just really think that's so unique to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is to cross-pollinate like that. I just think was very inspired idea. I love it.
Well, thank you so much.
You're mighty welcome.
It's been
Lizzie
fun,
Tisch,
I will say.
I want to thank you so much for being on our fabulous episode. You are.
I loved it.
I mean, I'm so glad.
And I didn't get beeped once. I'm so proud of myself.
No, I think actually I'm going to have to get beeped. Somehow, some swear word escaped me, I'm sure.
Notes. We have a few little moments.
We might have a few. I mean, it might be the longest I've gone without using the F word. My daughter will be so proud.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see you soon somewhere.
Soon. We're here.
Safe travels when and if.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
And I adore you.
I adore you. Lovely to meet you, Christian.
Lovely meeting you, ladies and gentlemen. The magical Lizzie Tisch.